Hello and welcome back to the MMA Bar. Today we're going to discuss the online clash between UFC rising star Paddy Pimblett and former bantamweight champion TJ Dillishaw. This video touches the reason for the beef and all the exchanges from both sides. Paddy The Baddy Pimblett has engaged in a heated war of words with TJ Dillishaw after the former bantamweight champion commented on the UFC fan favorites weight. TJ Dillishaw blasted the lightweight prospect on the Schaub show, specifically singling the Liverpudlian fighter out for his ballooning weight gain in between bouts.
I'm like, holy shit, dude. So but he was so big. And I told him off camera, I go, Bubba, I love what you're doing. You're one of the best people I know. Here's the thing though, you getting this big and then cutting down, getting big, cutting down, when you're young, it's fine right now. But as you go on, dude, I'm telling you, this isn't the way to do it. He's laughing, but he'll learn, man. He'll learn.
Yes, he's loving diabetes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like a recipe for just like destroying.
The baddie, never one to take an insult lying down, was quick to react on Twitter. Pimblett clapped back at TJ Dillishaw after the former UFC champion questioned his eating habits and work ethic. And as you can probably imagine, it was the Brit who came out on top in their little Twitter tiff. It's no secret that the baddie is a bit of a foodie and likes to indulge in the finer things in life when he's not in competition. Pimblett's food habits mean he often balloons up in size between fights and therefore has to cut a huge amount of weight to make the 156-pound limit for lightweight fights. Mostly since his last fight against Rodrigo Vargas, Paddy has been making videos of him consuming lots of junk foods, something unadvisable of an athlete, especially an athlete that competes in a weight class. This is a process that is well documented by the baddie on his own YouTube channel. But Dillashaw, who isn't exactly squeaky clean himself when it comes to putting things in his body, has clearly taken exception to Pimblett's diet. Paddy Pimblett is more than willing to joke about his weight gain between fights, but the fun stops when a fellow UFC fighter suggests it and claims that he'll never be a champion. Dillashaw was critical of Pimblett's tendency to balloon up in between fights, stating that the rising star will never become champion if he doesn't change his ways. During an interview on the Schaub show, the former bantamweight champion's criticism was mostly of Pimblett's supposed lack of work ethic. He said, "That's like a recipe for destroying your body. I guess there's one thing when I look at it. They can promote him the right way and do all this good stuff, and he's got some stuff to grow and get into the higher echelons of the UFC, but if you keep that same work ethic that he has now, he'll never be a champion. You can't have that downtime like that. You can't get that fat. You can't get out of shape. It just proves the dedication to what you need to do. I'm not trying to pound on him or anything, but that's something I think he's going to have to figure out with age. He's young. It's a full-time job. This isn't just wanting to be a fighter, you have to be a fighter." Paddy Pimblett, with only 2 fights in the UFC thus far, is one of the promotion's brightest prospects. Both his fights ended in stunning first-round finishes, albeit after Pimblett himself was rocked by heavy shots. Paddy and his teammates have consistently declared that he's on the road to a UFC title, but in one of the most heavily stacked divisions in the sport, that's a long way off. Pimblett's on-mic charisma and fighting style have made him a star very early on, which has drawn the ire of plenty of his fellow fighters. It didn't take long for Pimblett to catch wind of these remarks, and he wasted no time in clapping right back, calling attention to the ex-champ's history with weight and performance-enhancing drugs. He tweeted, "Is this fella messin' at TJ Dillishaw used to sell t-shirts with his fat face on it saying Fat Taylor on when he came out of camp. Don't forget your own past, you sausage. Cheating little juice head would never have won a belt without them steroids, you effing mushroom." Well, if you started following the UFC only recently, you might not understand Pimblett's argument. In 2019, Dillashaw unsuccessfully challenged Henry Cejudo for the UFC flyweight title. After that fight, he tested positive for the banned substance EPO. He served a 2-year suspension for that infraction and returned to the octagon last July. Dillashaw was caught using the drug Prosit, a man-made form of erythropoietin that prompts the body to increase red blood cell production. Dillashaw released a video when he was caught doping, admitting to taking the banned substance in order to better refuel his body when cutting down in weight. He said he had a hard time forgiving himself for intentionally cheating, but vowed to come back better and stronger in the future. I understand the criticism and scrutiny coming my way. But what I feel bad about is the bad light bringing onto my coaches, my family, and my teammates. They had no involvement in this and I feel the worst for them, he added. Since he failed an anti-doping test conducted by the USADA and readily admitted taking the performance-enhancing drug, I guess we can agree that his ability to criticize any fighter's choices is questionable. Also, Dillashaw did indeed joke about gaining weight between fights, and Fat Tyler t-shirts with his face on them are still available for sale online. Fat Tyler is TJ's nickname for when he's walking around at 35 pounds above his fighting weight of 135 pounds. Pimblett was somewhere above 205 pounds, which is 50 pounds higher than his fighting weight of 155 pounds. It's really not that big of a difference when you take into account their size difference. However, if Pimblett doesn't want to get attacked for gaining weight, he may want to reconsider making videos where he gorges over 10,000 calories in one night. The pair's back and forth didn't end there, as Dillashaw continued to take aim at Pimblett and the future of his career. "Wasn't even trying to be mean," Dillashaw replied. At the UFC baddie, getting all sensitive must be a tasty subject. Drop the donuts and take the advice. The only difference of Fat Tyler is that it was a joke, LOL. What's not a joke is you getting diabetes. Let's see how you look after 11 years in the UFC. Good luck lasting that long. The post from Dillashaw prompted another reply from Pimblett via Twitter. Pimblett landed the knockout blow with this tweet. "Not as sensitive as your body to that EPO when you cheated. Still didn't win, what an embarrassment you are. I'll still be here in 11 years if I haven't already retired with a proper legacy, not tainted like yours, and also a lot more money in my pocket than you've ever earned, night son." Pimblett, 27, is scheduled to return to the octagon on July 23 against Jordan Leavitt at UFC London, his second consecutive fight on home soil after a submission win over Rodrigo Vargas in March. Paddy Pimblett has had a fantastic start to his UFC career. In his UFC debut, he knocked out Luigi Vendramini in the first round, then submitted Rodrigo Vargas in the first round in March. Those victories have paved the way for Pimblett to face more challenging opponents. His most recent victory over Vargas came in front of his home crowd in London. He will have another opportunity to perform on home soil when he fights Jordan Leavitt on July 23 at UFC London. Dillashaw, 36, could be next in line for a bantamweight title shot against champ Aljamain Sterling, who called him out following a rematch win over Peter Yan at UFC 273. UFC commentator and former champion Michael Bisping had something to say about the back and forth. Bisping recently claimed that Paddy Pimblett should listen to TJ Dillashaw's advice about becoming overweight in between fights. Bisping advised the aspiring lightweight to take Dillashaw's advice. The former middleweight champion admitted that many fighters, including himself, had made the mistake of becoming undisciplined in between fights. As he recently stated on his YouTube channel, he believes Dillashaw is not entirely incorrect. Although Bisping and Paddy are both Brits and are good friends, he didn't shy away from expressing his opinions. TJ is right to a certain degree. He is right and he is wrong. But Paddy should take his advice. Because what happens is, listen, I was guilty of this throughout my career. That's why I said I can't sit here and criticize Paddy Pimblett for what he is doing. I wouldn't dream of doing that anyway. It's not for me to judge anybody. Yes, we all have experiences. You can look at things and learn. Do you think Dillashaw has the right to advise Paddy Pimblett despite his history and recent suspension? Or do you think Paddy should take the words of the former bantamweight champion and watch his diet? State your opinions in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.